I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the Sega Master System, aside from a few fuzzy memories of sitting in a friend's basement playing Snail Maze, Spy vs. Spy, and Phantasy Zone. But one of the most iconic RPGs of the 8-bit era released on the console 31 years ago this month, Phantasy Star. There are a number of things that set Phantasy Star apart from its contemporaries. The biggest item is that it's a sci-fi setting, rather than your typical Tolkien-inspired high fantasy. Sure, there are swords, shields, and monsters, but you'll also find blasters and teleporters, not to mention the fact that this game takes place across 3 different planets in the Algol star system: Temperate Palma, Arid Motavia, and Icy Dazorus. Second is that it was among the first major games to have a female protagonist, hot on the heels of Metroid. Alice is not to be trifled with. She's a capable fighter whose brother Nero is killed by minions of the tyrant Lassic to kick off the story.
This is a church. Do you wish to resurrect someone?
Yeah, can I resurrect my brother? Game over! Well, it's not quite that easy, obviously, but as she quests to defeat the great evil, well, we can't do away with all tropes, now can we? You'll run into battles that are presented in a first-person perspective, and very well-detailed monster sprites representing one or many enemies in a group. Get used to seeing this. This game is really grind-heavy, and it's not unusual to get killed in your first battle if you're not careful. That first-person perspective brings me to point 3 of the uniqueness of Phantasy Star: first-person dungeon crawling. Keep a map handy or make your own on graph paper or you'll get lost right quick. I may not have played this when I was younger, but I've played the heck out of Shining in the Darkness, so this definitely tickled me. Phantasy Star was the only entry in the series on the Master System, with the next game jumping to the Genesis. But Phantasy Star 2 and 3 weren't released in December, so forget those. Phantasy Star 4, however, released in December of 1993, commanding a whopping $99 upon release, due partially to the cartridge containing an unheard of 24 megabits of data. While they doubled down on the sci-fi and anime cutscenes, the first-person dungeons are gone. Your player character is a noob ranger named Chaz, who's still learning the ropes from his instructor as the story begins. His instructor's name is Alice, just like the main character from the first game. But the 2 games take place about 2,000 years apart, so it's obviously not the same person. In fact, while this game still takes place in the Algol system, you begin on a green Motavia that had once been covered in desert. From here, the series went online in 3D, as most everything else did, but it's always good to keep one's roots in mind. On more modern systems, you can find Phantasy Star hidden on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on the PS3, and Phantasy Stars 2 through 4 were included in the recent Sega Genesis collection on the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. If you're at all inclined toward retro RPGs, these are definitely good ones to dive into. You came back. That's nice. Well, I hope you come back again next week. I'll have more video gamey goodness for you, and I will see you then.